Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Stacy Shillington, and tonight I'm here to talk about acne and cravings. Who out there has cravings, or should I say who out there does not have cravings, because that's probably more the case, because cravings are strong and cravings are powerful and cravings actually mean something. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, what your cravings actually mean. You could be having a craving for sugary carbohydrates, chocolate, or a craving for more salty things like pretzels and nachos and stuff like that. So I'm going to break it down today, and I'm going to tell you what those cravings mean and why those cravings are so powerful, because there's definitely a biochemical pathway, some biochemical signaling going on that is really hard for us to overcome. But if you have acne and you want to solve your acne, overcoming your cravings is key, because it's likely that what you are craving is actually triggering your acne. So I'm going to get more into that, and I'm just going to start off by asking you what you crave, and I will tell you what I crave, and I crave chocolate. And I've always craved chocolate. It's a sweet craving, and I find that it has the ability to get out of control really, really quickly. So I might start off like, okay, first of all, chocolate causes me to break out. So that's my number one reason not to eat chocolate. But if it's anywhere in the house, I will find it and I will eat it. It's that bad. And I find that I start with a little and then it escalates. And it gets to a point where I just can't handle it anymore. And I will actually run upstairs, and then I'll call my husband upstairs, and I will tell him to go downstairs and get rid of any and all chocolate in the house, like right away, because it's driving me insane. And he'll have to do that. He'll have to go and get rid of it, because that's the only way I can stop eating it. So what's going on? Why are these cravings so powerful? We know, like, we're intelligent human beings. We have so many, really amazing research studies out there telling us how dangerous certain foods are for us, but yet we continue to eat them. And we continue to eat them in large amounts. The amount of sugar that we're eating today versus even 10 years ago, it's 10 times. And we know that it's killing us, but we can't stop. What is going on? And you know what's causing your acne. Like, you know that sugar contributes to it, and that you continue to do it. I continue to do it. So what is going on in our bodies? Why are cravings so damn strong? Okay. So, okay. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes here because I'm like, I have to make sure I don't miss saying something. So that's what I'm doing. So they're so powerful. Okay, there's physiological reasons why, and then there's also mental reasons why. And the physiological reasons are, they can represent insulin dysregulation, which is one of the main causes of acne as well. So there's a sign. Dopamine dysregulation, and that is why sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Adrenal dysfunction, and that also incorporates dehydration and mineral imbalance. That's why we're experiencing all these cravings. And then there's also habits. Sugar and other foods that we crave become a habit, because our habits are actually driven by our cravings. What we desire, what we want most, is typically what we act on. And the more times we do that, the stronger the neural pathways are that are formed in our brains, and those become habits. So those are behaviors that we automatically turn to without even really thinking about it. So it's kind of like we're on autopilot a little bit too. So this is just a recipe for, ill health for so many people. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into it, and then give you my strategies for, getting rid of cravings and breaking habits. So we've got sugar cravings. We're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to talk about salt cravings. And then we're going to talk about how to form new habits. Next page of notes. Okay, so sugar and carbohydrate cravings. That's definitely the most common type of craving out there. And it's what I experience. It's what many of my patients experience. And it can happen throughout the day, all day, or it can happen at certain times of the day. I know after meals is a really common time to experience a craving. Also, there's like that mid-afternoon coffee break, like about a 2 o'clock p.m. time. I know a lot of people really experience cravings at that time. And but some people just have them all the time. So I don't know. It's very individual when you have your cravings. But the number one reason for those sugar cravings physiologically is insulin dysregulation. And the loop goes something like this. So you eat a piece of sugar or you eat a meal high in carbohydrates, something that's not grounded with protein and fat. Like let's say it's a spaghetti dinner, or it's a bag of chips or pretzels, or maybe it's the donut or some chocolate. And what happens is your blood sugar spikes, it shoots up. And along with your blood sugar shooting up, your insulin shoots up, and your insulin will get a lot of that blood sugar into the cells, which means your blood sugar dramatically drops. And what's really happening here is your body misses that sugar high. It's craving that sugar high. And so in response, it increases your appetites and your cravings. And then you start right back into that cycle. You'll eat a high carbohydrate meal, you'll eat that pizza, you'll eat that chocolate, you'll have that donut, you'll have that coffee and, bagel or something like that. And so you're continually fueling this sugar high, this high blood sugar, high insulin cycle. And what you need to do is you need to break it by having meals and eating food that balances your blood sugar a little bit more. And by that, I mean protein and fat have to be a big component of your meals. A lot of my acne patients, we cut out carbohydrates altogether and we do mostly protein and vegetables. And this works, but there's another piece of the puzzle that I have to tell you about, and that is when the blood sugar rises. So after you've eaten that high carbohydrate meal or you've eaten the donut, and your blood sugar shoots up, something happens in your brain. And what happens is that dopamine is released. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter that communicates pleasure. So whenever you have any type of addiction, dopamine is released because it's released in what's called the reward center of the brain. So it's like you crave something, you crave sugar, you eat that sugar, and the dopamine is released. But what happens is you become sensitized to the dopamine. So the more that you eat that sugar and the more the dopamine is stimulated, our body or our brains becomes desensitized to the dopamine. So we have to eat more and more sugar to get the same sugar high. So we're in a vicious cycle. Does that make sense? So sugar is actually 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And this dopamine sensitization cycle that I just described is actually what goes on in the brains with any type of addiction, whether it's a sugar addiction, a nicotine addiction, an alcohol addiction, a drug addiction, a shopping addiction, a gambling addiction. It's all about the dopamine and the reward center of the brain. So, I mean, these are really, really strong biochemical reactions that are going on in the body. And what you have to do, what we all have to do, is we have to heal our dopamine receptors. We have to stop the sensitization. We have to stop the dopamine overstimulation. So how do you do that? Is you have to stop the drug. You have to stop the sugar. And withdrawal does come along with that. So whenever you experience tolerance, which is the sensitization to the dopamine, you're also going to experience withdrawal when you remove the sugar or a drug or whatever you're addicted to. So cravings are powerful. They're really powerful. And, you know, if you're craving sugar and you're giving into that craving all the time, don't be hard on yourself, because you're fighting some really strong chemicals in your body. But that being said, it's all, if you have acne, and I know that's the crowd that I'm speaking to, and I know you are motivated to get rid of your acne and clear up your face, these addictions have to be broken. You have to stop the sugar, and that is going to stop the cravings. I hope you didn't just hear that. I just got a text message. My friend texted me, hi. So the only way to stop sugar and to stop the cravings is to cut sugar out cold turkey. That's the way it works, and to go through the withdrawal process. I know it sounds harsh, but you know, I've helped a lot of people go through this, and getting out on the other end is amazing, and it's really worth it. So cutting out the sugar and then starting to eat meals that have protein and fat in them. And as I said earlier, I always recommend about 25% protein and the rest vegetables, especially to start off when you're healing your blood sugar, you're healing your insulin, and you're also healing the dopamine response in the reward center of your brain. So it's all, you know, it's all connected. So that's sugar cravings, and that is the science behind the cravings, why the cravings are so strong, and what you must do to stop them. And it's not easy, that's for sure. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of technique that goes along with it. But let's move on. So what happens if you are craving salty things? So the pretzels, the nachos, the chips, you know, anything salty. Now that is very different from sugar craving, and it actually has to do with the adrenal glands. Now, the adrenal glands are little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they regulate the cortisol response in the body. So pretty much the fight or flight. So whenever you're stressed out, your adrenal glands are the ones that release cortisol. Now, the adrenal glands also regulate something called aldosterone, and aldosterone regulates the blood pressure within our body. And low aldosterone can lead to blood pressure, like low blood pressure, dizziness, you know, just the feeling of lethargy and fatigue. And when you have high cortisol release, you have low aldosterone. And what fixes that, what helps that, is salt. As we know, salt will help increase the blood pressure, and salt will help deliver, and salt also helps replenish a lot. No, it doesn't help, sorry. So salt encourages the body to drink more water. And that's often what you need when you're experiencing low blood pressure, when you're experiencing cellular dehydration, which aldosterone can also cause. The salt helps to replenish that. So when you have salt cravings, it often points to adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue is something that's really important when treating acne, because many of my patients, they have high DHEAS levels, and DHEAS is an androgenic hormone, and that hormone directly stimulates the production of DHT, which increases sebum production in the skin. So that directly leads to acne. Now, often in acne patients, they will release cortisol, but they will release DHEAS at the same time. And this is a huge cause of acne. A lot of patients that are especially anxious or stressed out, and they often crave salt. So your cravings can definitely be a clue as to the cause of your acne. And when my patients tend to crave salt, when they tend to exhibit anxiety, insomnia, they're very stressed out, I know that the adrenals need to be nourished. So salt cravings equals you need to give your adrenals some love. And I'm going to tell you the #1 treatment for adrenal fatigue is, you're not going to believe this, it's so simple, It's routine. The adrenal glands love routine. They love to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the exact same time every day. They love to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. So that is the #1 way to heal your adrenals. There's also some really great herbs. You have to be very careful because a lot of adrenal herbs will actually overstimulate the adrenals and cause more acne. So be cautious with that one. But that's what your cravings are telling you. So salty cravings, adrenal glands. And if you have sugar cravings, that's dopamine and insulin dysregulation. So I hope that helps. I hope that, kind of gives you a little bit of insight into what may be causing your acne. And I said I was going to touch a little bit on habits and creating new habits to replace old habits, because that's a really important way to overcome cravings, especially with the sugar. And the #1 thing that I'm going to tell you is keep it simple when you're starting a new habit. So the way it works is there's a cue in your brain that occurs, and it's usually something like, oh, I feel like I need some sugar. Or you look at something and you see like a piece of chocolate in your cupboard or something like that. There's a cue, and then there's a reward. And the reward is what you do to satisfy that craving. So you want to create cues and cravings that benefit you. So for example, if you get a cue to eat some chocolate, instead satisfy it by having some really nice sparkling water with a little bit of lemon in it, something that you really enjoy, but that's not harmful for you. And you have to do that for a minimum of 3 weeks. 3 weeks is the magic number to actually have that habit ingrained as a neural pathway in your brain. And once that happens, then that will actually become your new habit. It takes 3 weeks, that's it. So give that a thought. And I think that's all, and honestly, I could do a whole Facebook Live on creating new habits, but I just wanted to give you like a little nutshell. Maybe I'll do that later. All right. So that is what I wanted to say about cravings. And I hope that I made sense. I just spent all day with my sick kid. And so I'm feeling a little frazzled. I'm not feeling that I'm speaking as eloquently as I usually do. But that being said, if you have any questions about acne and cravings, please let me know. And also check out my 7-week Clear Skin program. Guys, if you want clear skin, this is it. It's going on right now. People are clearing their skin like crazy, and I want you to join them because honestly, we don't have time for acne in our lives. I know how much mental space acne takes up in your brain. The time you spend researching it, looking in the mirror, thinking about it, spending money on it. I've been clearing acne for 10 years, so check it out. Check out my website, naturopathicbeauty.com. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook because I give great tips on how to clear your skin every single day, and I'd also love to hear from you. So that's it for tonight. Have a great evening, and I'll be back next week with a brand new Facebook Live. Bye.